I couldn't go anywhere without people talking about the threes. Because I broke the NBA record at that time for threes in a final. In regular season, you make your name. The playoffs are when you make your fame. Greatness really, to me, is not moments. It's also the extent of how long you do it. Our motto, I used to, right before Game 5 or Game 7, I'm like, we might lose, but it ain't gonna be tonight. If you look at him from his day one to his day last, he's the only player who came into the league where his weaknesses when he left the league were his strengths. It's all day, I'm in his ear, and he's talking, and all day, we just going back and forth. I love that part. I don't think I've ever said this. For my first 6 years, I was always jealous of Scottie Pippen. I love the legacy of Michael. I love the fact that he went to the finals 6 times and never lost. But do you really believe, honestly, he would have won 8 championships in a row? My lane of what I do on the show is very obvious. It stands out. My last one-year contract was more than my first whole NBA contract. I get paid more to talk about the game than play the game. He was the first white person that ever asked me, what am I doing for the black race? Like, what? All of those voices were in my head. Everything felt normal. I'm like, shit, everything ain't normal? This is not normal. Sometimes not speaking is bigger than speaking. They forget what you say, but they always ask you when you don't say nothing. That's true. Like, it's funny because most people, they know me from broadcasting and not from playing. Like, most people have not seen me play. Like, so when I hear, like, guys talk about eras of basketball, I'll always laugh because I'm like, I know for a fact he's never seen me play, ever. Right. Like, never in their life, you know. So they're talking about things that they're really just watching clips of and not watching the totality or the moments. You know, when they evaluate players, evaluate things, evaluate anything, I know that if they didn't see me play, their evaluation sometimes.
Well, y'all really got something in common. He only got 2 clips on YouTube. People know him more from the pivot than they do from when he played.
It's crazy. So, like, if you're not a football fan, now we hear you talk. You know what I'm saying? So we hear what you said and you've done. But for me, like, I have AAU teams. And so my AAU teams, Jet Academy is like top teams in the EYBL, that Nike circuit. And one of the kids was like, were you a good player, coach? I started laughing because I said, I don't know, man. I said, but I made the McDonald All-American in high school. You're in high school, you're trying to make the McDonald All-American. He said, really? You made McDonald? But were you good in the McDonald? I'm like, I don't know. I said, well, 5 years ago, I got a ball. And it was the top 35 high school players ever. Mm-hmm. Shaq was on it, LeBron was on it. I said, Coach was on it too. I was there. Yeah. You were the top 35 high school player all time. I'm like, yeah. So it's like they have no clue. Mm-hmm. They have no clue because they shouldn't. I kind of grew up in the era of when basketball was becoming the hype. Mm-hmm. So I you know what I mean? I knew what it was and where it is now. So I've seen all generations. And I've seen the moments too, right, which makes it fun. Like when they ask who's the best player, you know the moment also. You just don't know the game. Mm-hmm. Well, you knew, hey, they were down 3-2. Like when Michael, he went to Atlantic City and they were talking about, so you were in those environments and you understand, oh, when LeBron went for, 30 straight points in a playoff game, what it was going, you understand also the gravity of the moment. Not just the play.
How much of a culture shift did you have to make to go to North Carolina then, and just that structure and sort of just the nostalgia of the greatness of Dean Smith and what they were building? Michael Jordan's there, the James Worthys, there were so many, Sam Perkins, so many great players that had been there, and you're coming from this rough and tumble city where basketball is thought of, and that's thought of to be the Mecca, but you were truly a part of what became historically one of the greatest blue bloods of basketball.
Which I didn't even know at the time. Until I actually landed on campus, I didn't know how great that was. I really didn't, because I was an NBA fan. I wasn't a college basketball fan. I was a New York Knicks fan. So I just knew Clyde Frazier, Earl Monroe, Willis Reed, all of these great legends of the past. I never really followed college basketball and didn't know the levity of what North Carolina until I stepped on campus. Even on the visit, I didn't know. But when I got there, I'm like, there was no pro teams in North Carolina. We were the pro team. Like, we were the it's of it. Like, if you went off campus, from our first man to our 12th man were like rock stars. Wow. When we used to go to a mall, they'd have to shut the mall down. They'd have to close the mall, like in stores. You go into the mall, and your kids couldn't come in. They let you shop. We used to go get haircuts at Central, North Carolina Central, and in the student union, which is the HBCU. Yeah. Duke used to come in. And so the Duke players were there. It was myself, Michael, and Sam Perkins, and we're getting a haircut. And the Duke guys, they got the door locked, so nobody comes in. Duke guys are coming in to get their haircut. Michael's like, if you let them in, we'll never come back. He's like, man, he's like, Mike, if you let them in, we'll never come back. So they didn't let the Duke guys in. So we're sitting there I'm a freshman. I'll get my hair cut, and I was looking at like Johnny Dawkins and them looking through the mirror, like they had a little window. They're like knocking on the window. He's like, come back later, come back later. That's the type of juice we had. We had the juice.
Did you know Mike was like that though, Michael Jordan? Because Patrick Ewing said they were on the circuit together, the same way you talked about the McDonald's All-American. And he said, he felt like they were better basketball players than Michael Jordan at the time. When you got to campus, he had already hit the shot, right? He was kind of, like you said, he was able to tell the people at the barbershop, nah, you can't let them in.
Right.
Did you know at that point that Michael Jordan could be or was going to be what he became?
No, because Michael is, if you look at him from his day one, to his day last, he's the only player, this is what to me makes him the greatest player in the world. He's the only player who came into the league where his weaknesses when he left the league were his strengths. Most guys come in with strengths and just get better at it. So his ball handler was good, but then it became great. His shot was inconsistent, and then it became indefensible. So like he's the only player in the world that I look at like that. His post game, there was no flaws. So yeah, I didn't know he'd be that good, but I knew he was a hard worker. We used to have a thing where we had so many pros at the time in the league. So the pros would be on one end and the college guys would be on the other. We play against the pros. The first game, we always played college against pro, and the second game could be a mix. But you had to do that the first game. So we're playing against the pros and we win. And so I'm going to get water and I turn around, this is my first, and Michael's in the middle of the court. Half court, with his hands on his shorts. Like, yo, what you doing? Oh, I'm letting these motherfathers know that I'm never leaving this court. I said, oh, that's what we doing? We doing that? So I said, all right, so we gonna let them know. We ain't never leaving the court. Right. And so his competitive, that's why I love being around him. Like, I'm a shit talker,
From New York.
But he did it, and he had some things to do with it, you know what I mean. So it was I just enjoyed being in that environment. And he was a guy. So when I saw The Last Dance, and people were like, "Oh, he was so hard," I'm like, man, that's what I loved about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. I love the fact that we this all day, and he's this all day. I'm in his ear, and he's talking, and all day we just going back and forth. I love that part. I love if you don't come to play today, that I love that. That got me, that's the way I grew up. That's the way my coaches talk to me. That's the way, if I cross the street in a cab and he's like, what are you doing? Get out the street. That's New York. I enjoyed that environment. So when I looked at The Last, I'm like, and I don't think I've ever said this. For my first 6 years, I was always jealous of Scottie Pippen. I was so jealous because I was the 6th pick, he was the 5th. And I visited Chicago. They brought me in on an interview. And I was so jealous because I was like, I knew what he could do and bring out of you. You always have it in you, but sometimes you need somebody to elevate it, to another level. And I knew that he would do that. And so I used to look at Scottie and be so jealous of that dude.
But Kenny, if it's Michael and Kenny, y'all ain't winning 6.
Bet that. Bet that.
6?
Bet that. Because what was missing, you forget the first 3-4 years in Chicago, Scottie had the migraines. Yeah. Scottie wasn't an all-star.
Yeah.
Scottie, he made all-rookie team, but he was barely made the all-rookie team.
Yeah.
He wasn't like Scottie Pippen until about his 3rd, 4th year. So my first 3 years, I was Kenny Smith. Like, I wasn't like...
First team all rookie?
Yeah, I'm first team all rookie. I'm having 17, 18 points a game as a second-year guy, like, on a bad team. You know what I mean? Like, where I'm the number one option on a bad team where you come off pick and rolls, they doubling you, and you like, oh, I used to say that's the hardest 18 points of your life. I used to come home and be like, oh my God. Playing with Michael my first 2 years when you're super athletic and you're super pop, man, look. The one thing I used to watch when they played Detroit, I'm like, their guard play was terrible at that time. Their guards couldn't beat Isaiah, Vinnie Johnson, or Joe Dumars off the dribble. I'm not saying I would have did it all the time, but I could beat those guys off the dribble at that stage in my career. And I was like, that's what's missing. Like, he didn't need much. But scoring was, early in my career, was easy. That was the easiest part of the game because the court is wider in the NBA. So I was like, man, it's so much more room. So when you get a steal and you're gone, like they can't catch you. Like, so it's like, it's impossible. In college, 2-3 steps is different. It's the court is tighter. No, the NBA it's easier to score in the NBA than it is in college. Michael retired for the 1 year, but he was there the second year.
Mm-hmm. Orlando beat him.
He was there, when he had, the double nickel in the Garden and he's doing this, he's back. They wasn't saying it, the only reason I think that's the biggest reason, and some people who not like knowledgeable of the game, they think that he was gone both years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. They lost to Orlando, and we swept that team. Well, we swept the team that they lost to. We swept them. Right. Like, no problems with them. The only reason I always say we would have beat them, and I'm glad we didn't face them, because I love the legacy of Michael. I love the fact that he went to the finals 6 times and never lost. Like, I'm a basketball fan, and I'm a fan of him. So I love that legacy. And I love the fact that when we say he's the GOAT, we always could be like, yeah, he ain't never lost. I love that. I wouldn't have wanted to be part of that. But do you really believe, honestly, he would have won 8 championships in a row?
You're talking about his development. I want to ask you about evolution, Kenny. We've talked about your young resume.
Right.
And then obviously becoming a very good basketball player in the NBA, 2 championships. But we're seeing something like we've never seen before in Victor Wembanyama. Mm-hmm. In the height, the skills. And I feel like it's a part of the Michael Jordans, to the LeBrons, to the Kevin Durants, the Stephs. And now you have this ginormous human with all these measurables who can do all these things. Talk a little bit about how the game has developed from the time that you played to now, where we're seeing this extreme skill on display. So
yeah, the individual skills are better at times. The team concepts aren't. So
you said aren't?
Are not.
Okay.
So like, I think because everyone has the individual trainers and they train singularly, they really know how to get their own shot. Mm-hmm. And they're tough shot makers. Like, things that used to be tough shots are easy shots for guys today. But basketball is also played from the neck up. So the reads are not as smart. That's the only thing I see. That's why the eras it's hard to compare, but it's easy to say that both eras could play against each other. Because the reads that they make, they don't have to in this era, because they allow you to, have 8 to 9 seconds with the ball, and instead of pass and move and get off the ball. So most players today just don't know how to play off the ball. They know how to stand in the corner and wait, but they don't know how to play off the ball. They don't know when to cut. They don't know when to go help. But in terms of individual skill set, tough shot makers. They are the tough shot makers. They are what the Globetrotters would do. You know what I mean? They could do that on a regular. Like, they are tough shot makers. Not more athletic, which is what you hear all the time. Oh, not really. Like, there's not a guy, I play with Clyde Drexler. Like, it's not, give me a 2 guard who is more athletic today than Clyde Drexler. I mean, Larry Nance's son ain't as athletic as Larry Nance. His son's in the league and he's not as, so it's like, no, it's not more athleticism. It's more individual work. And the casual basketball player that you go to the gym, they're more athletic.
Yeah.
That's all it is. They're You know what I mean? The guy who's in the, like when we walked growing up, like when I did, because you're still younger than I am, but when I grew up, if you had a six-pack and you weren't playing a sport, you were like, what are you doing?
No
like,
question.
what are you spending 3 hours in the gym for, bro? Like, you don't play nothing?
Right.
Like, but you could go to any gym right now, any LA Fitness, any Equinox, and be like,
it's the individual work.
they don't play nothing. Yeah. They just work out.
What are we training for?
What are we training for? Like, why are we training this hard? For what? Just to go on the beach and look good and oil up? Like, what?
Man, go work at Whole Foods.
That's my point. Yeah. So it's just a different
era.
The casual person is more athletic. The athlete is the same.
And I think you saw that too, though. I was looking at some of those, the NBA combine numbers.
Right.
And they were just comparing verticals and different things to offensive linemen and football players. Like the athleticism of the measurables aren't any different. But like you said as well, we watch a dude dribble between his legs 18 times, take 16 steps to step back, and we like, oh, that player is more athletic than Michael Jordan was. And that's actually not the truth for people who understand what they're watching.
Yeah. The skill set is there, and what's vogue is different. Like, you know, your gear today is different from what's, you know, it's just what's vogue. Like, it's not the same. So it's not measurable in that thing, but they are tough shot makers. I will agree with that. They do hit tough shots on more regularity than the players in our era. But they do not play better at times.
But they also flop. And big ass LeBron James, 6'8", 260, flies into the third row if somebody flips him in his wrist.
But we all had theatrics.
Even back when you played, y'all would sell.
Dennis Rodman was the king of flopping and going all over, falling all over the floor. Like, any advantage you can get, you're gonna get. Like, flopping is like an art, honestly. And it didn't be called flopping. It was like drawing a foul. Like, but then when they changed the flop, it had a negative connotation. But like, yo, you're in a penalty. Figure out a way to get to the line. Like, they're in a penalty. If they foul you again, you get free throws. You know, like you're gonna, go to the line, boom, boom, boom. And the referees at that time wasn't as savvy as they are now. So you could do things like, and I remember, I'm like, you got, man, I got 26. We winning by 12. How do I get 30?
Situation.
I'm at the line. Boom, boom. I get, you know what I mean? So it was more like drawing. The word flopping gives the record. But if it was
negative,
right? But if the word was fooling and IQ, they'd be like, "Oh, LeBron has a ridiculous IQ." It's not flopping. It's like, it's the IQ of like, they're in a penalty. This 50-50 call can change the dynamic of the game. I'm doing it.
Like you said, it's all about win and loss.
But Shaq he didn't want flopping because he could just run through people.
Man.
He don't want you falling out because you're talking strength on strength, he wins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, but we can't win that fight all the time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we got a jab, in the stomach. He can't hit you in the face all the time.
Shaq was all knockout blows.
No, knockout blows. He's the Mike Tyson of basketball. Like, it's knockout.
What's been your biggest pivot in life? The moment you can look back on and say, because this happened to me or for me, I am who I am today.
I think my biggest pivot, it's a combination. It's the people that I've been around and that influenced me. And I was writing a book about halfway through, and I send in some stuff, and the editor goes, "Do you realize everybody that you," because it was about the people who made me. So it was everybody who. It was a tell-all book of everybody who influenced me, but what they did positively to influence me. And so I was, writing it. It's like, you realize everybody on your list has a book written about them? They all have a book. So I was like, really? I'm thinking, so it's the people. So from sports, obviously Dean Smith, Michael Jordan, we go through there, right? You're talking about Akeem Olajuwon. Bill Russell was my first coach. Bill Russell, so he had a rule I had to sit next to him on every plane ride and every bus ride.
That knowledge.
So, yes, as a rookie. So he would talk and he'd say stuff like, Kenny, back in our day when, I was with, me and Malcolm would go over here and we go eat. And I'm like, Malcolm? He's like, yeah, Malcolm X. So, like, what? Like, Martin. He would like, Martin Luther King. So like, he would tell me stories about them like it was so casual. So like the people who made me, like him. And then, you know, one of my college roommates in one summer was a guy named David Kohler. And David Kohler, if you look at any plumbing, you're gonna see Kohler on it. Mm-hmm. And $9 billion later, you know, college roommate, didn't pay rent. That was another thing. So we're sitting one night.
That's how you get rich. You
know, so we're sitting there one night and we're talking about life. And he says, you know, my dad would always, I said, I didn't know who he was at the first, like how he was. So he's telling me about his life and I'm like, wait a minute, you're rich. You know what I'm like? He's like, oh, you know, he's playing it off. And I'm like, well, now why are you paying rent? But I'm like, well, how, so you're just gonna, you know, take over your father's company? He's like, no. So it's a plumbing. He said, I have to be a plumber first. Mm. And I said, a plumber? And he says, yeah, because then if someone brings in to me and say, okay, this screw is $8. It's like, no, it's not, it's $4. I was a plumber. I know what it is. So I know everything about the business. And so I said, that's how a point guard thinks. I know everything when a player, my center's doing, I have to know where the center's doing, the point guard, the shooting guard. I know everybody's position in play. I just don't know the play. I know what everyone's doing in the play. So we had a kinship and talking. So people like everybody influenced, pivoted. Like it changed my thought. And that's how I raised my kids. I'm like, nah, you don't just you got to be a plumber. When you learn to be a plumber, then you know the value of these sneakers. You know the value of this. Now you can earn it, right, but you gotta be a plumber. So everybody's kind of taking a pivot. You know, Dean Smith with the story about, you know, what are you doing for African Americans? Like everyone there's something that changes you, like just turns your volume up. There it is. That's a better way to put it. Something like just takes that needle and go boop, boop. You know what I have? I just thought about it as I'm talking. I feel I have I'm an analyst, but I've always had the ability to see greatness before they became great. Like, I would see people and go, you're gonna be great, man. And then they turn out to be this, you know. I said that, I knew that when I met Kohler. I knew that when I got named Guy Osiri, who managed Madonna, Sting. He's like the biggest guy on tech and like multi-billionaire. Dude was sleeping on my couch. And I was like, bro, you're gonna be great. I just can't be great with you, because he wanted me to start a record label with him. And I was like, I'm playing, I can't do the hours that you do. Right. And so he stayed with me for a week. He's like, you know what? I don't know if I'm not saying that I influenced, but I said, you're gonna be great. He said, you're the first person to ever say that to me. Boom, it's billions later. Yeah. Cold. Michael B. Jordan, I met on a plane when he was so I'm sitting next to him before he's Michael B. Jordan. And so we're talking, he's a basketball fan. He's like, I'm going out to do some auditions in LA. He had not had one part yet. So I'm sitting next talking to this kid and he's like, and I'm laughing because his name's Michael B. Jordan. Right. So that's our conversation kicker. And so I give him my number, and about a year later, he calls me. He's like, hey, man, I'm moving to LA full time. If I need a meal, just let me know if you got me. And I go, Michael, you'll never need a meal from me. Mm. You have it. Mm. He's like, really? That was it? But then, you know, it's something I'm able to see. I don't know. In the same way with players, like Kevin Durant. I was like the first to say he's gonna be the MVP of the league. They laughed at me. If you look it up and get the clip, Chuck and Chris Webber laughed. Kevin Durant, MVP? Never. I said, when I saw Wemby, I said in 4 years, Wemby will be year three. I said in 4 years, Wemby will be the MVP of the league, the first time I saw him. And they were like, no way, it's on record. Like, it's just something about the greatness, it just bleeds out you. It's not hard to see. It's not like, for me it isn't. It's like, man, now, sometimes I can take it to myself, but I can definitely see it in other people.
How you feel about me?
I think you've already achieved your greatness, and you are here in the place where you're supposed to be, 100%. And y'all, and this is y'all have a greatness because of the different dynamics that you bring, because you bring the family night and the outside life. Mm-hmm. He brings the surreal life. and he's right in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so easy. And this is the first time I've been on the show because normally I see clips. Yeah. So I see the whole entirety. And now I'm like, oh, I figured it out. I'm like, yeah, I see why this works. Like, it's easy to see why it works.
But I think that goes back to what you said about what you guys started on Inside the NBA, though. Mm-hmm. There are little pieces in each of you that makes the other one better.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you. This was amazing. Stories I've never heard before. And you've been on TV 30 years.
Right.
But I can't let you go. Who wins the championship?
Oh, I had San Antonio winning it this year.
Channing.
You say you had him?
And I'm going to stay there.
Okay. Channing.
Yeah. The only reason OKC is great. However, this is before the game one and Wemby goes crazy. I was saying it only because even on their road last year, they went 7 games twice, OKC. So it wasn't like they cakewalked through it. So they're the best overall team and the most talented team. They have more talent from 1 to 8 than anybody to me. But they don't have anyone you can practice against, meaning. So like, you know how when y'all in the scout team and they'll go, well, in basketball, they'll go, okay, today Kenny, if you're on the scout team, you're going to be Gary Payton, or you're going to be this guy. When you say scout team, you're going to be Wembanyama. Mm-hmm. You can't scout him. There's no one on your team like him. So when you come to the lane, everyone talks about how he changes shots or he blocks shots. He changes your thought. That's what he does more than anything. It's like the bully. If you know every day. Y'all football players. Y'all ain't worried about bullies, but basketball, we worry about bullies sometimes. So, the bully in the class, every day, you go through the hallway, he smacks the guy in the head. You ain't a punk, but some days you're like, I ain't dealing with that today.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna deal with him today. Yeah. That's what Wemby, he's the bully that changes your thought. You do not go down that hallway. Because he's there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So now your whole game changes. It's not the fact that he altered it, not the game that he blocked it. He changed your thought. Yeah. And that's what makes him great. And Michael did that. LeBron does that. That's what he's going to be in that level.
Yeah, and to that point, when Shea missed the bunny in game 1, he rebounds the ball and starts laughing.
100%.
Because he knew, I didn't jump, I didn't block it, but you shot that differently because I'm here.
His thought, and Wemby said the most profound thing ever. He says, how am I not the MVP when 50% of the game is defense?
Yep.
That's real.
And everybody else changes the game only on the offensive end. The guys who win it. Like, to the point. He is the guy.
Well, man, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
This was an awesome pivot.
It was fun,
Thank
man.
you, family. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.